students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator. In this video, we are going to talk about the evolution of the Indian drama. In the previous video, we discussed about the Sanskrit drama and the playwriters. In this video, we'll see some important playwriters before independence, after independence, and till the time of modernization. So, as we explore, there are some important pre-independence predecessors like Sri Aurobindo, we have Harendranath Chattopadhyay, we have T.P. Kalasam, etc. are some of the very important dramatists who were writing at that point of time. These are the dramatists who were chiefly writing on the themes related to the mythical traditions and related to the religious themes also. But gradually, the themes started to change. We saw that the social concerns and the reformist theories or the themes were important writings or the important themes in the writings seen during that time. It started with a very different tradition, and there were playwriters like Bharata Sarabhai, and we have J.M. Lobaprabhu and Asif Kiramboy who were writing at that time. Then gradually we saw that the National School of Drama was established in Delhi, and the National Drama Festival was started in Delhi by the Sangeet Natak Academy in 1954. So this is how the drama and the dramatic tradition now boomed or started to bloom in our country. Let us see some important dramatists. So some of them are predecessors of independence and some of them are writing during independence period, and then some are the modernists also, right? They're writing after the independence, and you'll see how the themes are gradually changing. So these are the few writers, and we are moving age-wise, and then you'll realize that these are writing according to the current happenings that is happening during that time. So we have Krishna Mohan Banerjee, who wrote The Persecuted or the dramatic scenes illustrative of the present state of Hindu society in Calcutta, which came out in 1831, a very important play. Why is it so important? Because it is the first play in English written by an Indian writer. Then a very important writer or the dramatist was seen, and he is Michael Madhusudan Dutt. You should know his different plays that he has written because all of them are important, and it is asked in the paper as well. This is the picture of Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Then we have Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo also wrote 5 complete plays and 6 incomplete verse plays. Then we have Rabindranath Tagore. I will be making another video for Rabindranath Tagore. Then we have Harendra Chattopadhyay. These are the dates associated with these important dramatists. So Sri Aurobindo, as I told you, and we have Chattopadhyay as some of the important writers who were writing before independence, and after independence also some very important, or during independence, some very important writers were seen, and you see how the writing tradition was changing. So the tradition continues when we saw that the Shri Chaitanya was written in 1950 by our very own Dilip Kumar Roy. So as we saw that they were writing for the religious themes and related to the mythical themes, we have Dilip Kumar Roy who was also writing verse play related to these mythical themes only. So the tradition continues with Shri Chaitanya that came out in 1950, and it was written by Dilip Kumar Roy, the verse play in 3 acts about Chaitanya's teaching and his conflicts with his own family members. Dilip Kumar Roy, in collaboration with Indra Devi, wrote The Beggar Princess that came out in 1956, a play on the life of the saint poet Mirabai. Then other playwriters like V. Srinivasan are again important because he is someone who wrote Ram Rajya, and this Ram Rajya came out in 1952. Again an important text. India Through the Ages that came out in 1947, that is on the very cusp of our independence, is a collection of 10 plays by Swami Avyaka Tandana. Right, again important. All His Prophets' Day is again an important text that talks about the national integration and secularism. So these are important dramatists who were writing at that point of time. J.M. Lobu Prabhu is replete and is very important when we talk about the reformist traditions. So he is writing about the intercaste marriage, he is writing about the marital incompatibility, about the status, education of women, the plight of women. So Mother of New India, a play of the Indian village in 3 acts that came out in 1944, is a very important play written by him. Death Abdicates, that came out in 1945, deals with the reformist themes and projects his progressive concerns. So they all are writing according to the social scenarios that were happening at that point of time. So he's writing about the intercaste marriage, about the marital rape, incompatibility, how women are considered as someone who's associated with the home only, and males are someone who are associated with the chivalry. They are going outside, they are fighting, they are participating in the freedom struggle, while women is associated with only the inner circles of the house. So these are the distinctions that started at that point of time. They all of these writers were discussing that how the roles of a woman and a male are so different than one another. Then comes your A.S. Panchapaksha Arya, and he is someone who has written various plays, and one important play is In the Clutch of Devil that came out in 1926. Then another is The Trial of Science for the Murder of Humanity, and it came out in 1942, is his last noted play. 2 collections for which he is also remembered is his collection of plays, Sita's Choice and Other Plays, that came out in 1935, and The Slave of Ideas and Other Plays that came out in 1942. So I request you to make your own notes. This will make your process of remembering things and studying very easy. Then let us move forward. So we have T.P. Kalasam, and he again is important, and he is a bilingual writer who wrote his English plays based on the stories from Mahabharata and in the style of Shakespeare's historical plays. So he is writing in a very different manner. Now you will see that these writers are also experimenting. Now they are writing, yes, in an age that is very haphazard, an age where you have to fight for the freedom struggle. Britishers are there, and he is using the English canonical text as well. So he is taking references from Shakespeare's historical plays. So he uses the grand rhetoric of the Victorian literature. He was highly influenced from it. So his Little Lays and Plays that came out in 1933 contains 1-act plays in prose like The Bird and Fulfillment. There are plays like Karn or The Brahmin's Curse that came out in 1946. So these are some important things to remember about him. Then the Indian drama again changed. So Indian drama immediately after independence mostly concerned on the religious, spiritual and the mythical themes. The Tagore, Aurobindo and Kalasam tradition of the poetic drama is continued by the playwriters like the Iswaran. We have J.V. Desani, we have Lakhandeb, and we have Pratish Nandi. So after the Tagore, Aurobindo and your Kalasam tradition, we saw that now we have other playwriters who are writing on the other poetic traditions that were going on at that point of time. J.V. Desani, Lakhandeb and Pratish Nandi being the most famous one. Based on the Rig Veda Samhita, so we have the Ishwaran's Yama and Yami, a play that came out in 1948 that is important. It dramatizes the love of Yami for her brother. So it's a very important play. J.V. Desani and his play Heli is very important, and you need to read this text in greater detail because questions are due asked from it, right? So Heli that came out in 1950 is the allegorical representation of a man's quest for fulfillment. The protagonist is named after the Muslim saint and he represents the humanity. So it's like an everyday journey that he takes. So the works and the dramas that are written by J.V. Desani are all very important. Then we have Lakhan Dev. Lakhan Dev is known for his blank verse. So he is experimenting with different traditions, and around 1967, a very important work came out, and this is a historical drama. This is called as the Tiger Claw. It narrates the encounter between Shivaji and Bhajpur general Afzal. So this is the theme, and you see that this is an historical play. Then we have Vivekanand and the murder at the prayer meeting that came out in 1967, which are adding to his canonical plays and his tradition. So he is writing in what? He is writing in blank verse. His name is Lakhan Dev. Then we have Pratish Nandi, a very important writer. This is Pratish Nandi right in front of you. Pratish Nandi's plays like The Right for the Plebeian State in 1967. We have Husmat Sozir Khamse, and other plays like the verse sermon on the national integration. We have Shri Devi Sings The Purple Braid People and The Pigeon Decaying Indian Feudalism. These are some of the important works that were written at that point of time. So these are some other works that you can see, and these are the other examples that were canonical writers at that point of time. So you can take a screenshot, while most important one is Pratish Nandi here. Then comes Asif Kiramboy, a very important writer again. So Asif Kiramboy, who was very important and a very powerful voice during that period, wrote plays like The Doldrums that came out in 1960. Then he wrote The Dumb Dancer in 1961, Goa, very important, in 1961, The Hungry Ones in 1965, The Tourist Mecca in 1959. Then we have Darjeeling Tea in 1971, An Experiment with Truth. Now remember, this is an autobiography written by Gandhi as well. The same name is seen in the play that is written by Asif Kiramboy in 1969. This came out. The Restaurant in 1960, Iqbal in 1970, The Refugee in 1971, and The Captives in 1963. He is a very important writer from examination point of view as well. So Asif Kiramboy should be at your fingertips. Goa, that came out in 1965, is an allegorical representation of the struggle which talks about the liberation of Goa, right? So hence it is a important play. He's writing about the assassination, the experience with truth, and the struggle of Gandhi as well in the different plays that are seen. Now, The Touch of Brightness that came out in 1967 is another very important play which is associated with Pratap Sharma. So, Pratap Sharma continues the tradition of writing about the social critique. So, he gives the picture of the red light district of Bombay, about the violence, about the corruption, and about the homelessness that the people are feeling post-independence. The Professor, a War Cry that came out in 1970, also deals with some of the similar themes. It is also written by Pratap Sharma. So the most important one is The Touch of Brightness, which is also being asked in the exam before. Then we have Guru Charan Das. So the time period of Guru Charan Das is around 1943. He transforms the historical material into a very potential reading and in a very dramatical representation. Set in Lahore from 1946 to 1947, Lerin Sahab that came out in 1970 deals with the problems, the death that was seen, the mass death that was seen in Punjab. So this is a very important play that is written by Guru Charan Das, and you must read more about Guru Charan Das as well. Then we have Das Meera and Lakhu Hill that are other important collections. These are the three plays that are associated with Guru Charan Das, and all of them are associated with the Punjab riots that were going on. Then we have Abraham El-Qazi. Abraham El-Qazi was a powerful influence on the theatre that he was writing in Bombay in 1950. The idea of the theatre as a totality, the set, the costume, the music, the light, and all of these were integrated with the performance and the speech. And he created a rhetorical, theatrical experience in the drama that is associated with Bombay. And he is writing about the revolution of the urban Indian audience. Then Nasim Ezekiel. Though we should not study Nasim Ezekiel here, he is mostly associated with poetry, but there are some important plays. So his 3 plays that came out in 1967 includes Nalini, Marriage Poem, and The Sleepwalkers, for which he is very famous. In Nalini, described as a comedy, he witnessed the comic contrast between the real and the phantom Nalini. The play explores the feeling of the rootlessness that is seen in the class westernized Indians and the problems they are facing. They are trapped between the globalization they want and the culture they are rooted to. So these are few important themes that are here that should be studied. Also, one important thing, Nasim Ezekiel's mentor is Abraham El-Qazi. That is why this becomes important to know. Then we have Jeev Patel. So Jeev Patel, his plays are set in the native place of the South Gujarat and are replete in different images like the marginal sections. He is writing about the Parsis and he is writing about the different refugees, about the tribal working conditions, about the labor force that are seen in the south of Gujarat. So these are some important works. While there are other important works also, I want you and urge you to make your own notes and study Jeev Patel in greater detail. In the classes, we'll be studying all of these dramatists one by one in greater detail. This video is only to tell you the tradition of how the evolution was seen in the field of dramatists. Then comes Cyrus Mistry, who continues the different tradition, and he is also writing plight of the different Christians. Then comes the Utpal Dutt. Now, why is Utpal Dutt so important? Utpal Dutt is one of the founding members of the IPTA. Now, what is IPTA? That stands for the Indian People's Theatre Association, an important landmark in the political theatre of India. A director, a playwright, actor committed to the political issues and the Marxist view are all associated with the association called as IPTA. There are other playwrights that are associated to it as well. So we have Sambhu Mitra, the founder of the theatre group that is called as the Bahurupi, aims to represent the mundane non-representations of reality. So gradually after the independence, they all realized that how hollow a human is, and they are writing about the mundane life, about the problems we were facing, about the social issues that we were facing, and how corrupt internally the humans were. So these two are important details. Then we have the Safdar Hashmi. So he is chiefly associated with the street theatre. Now they are all writing, and you see that the absurd theatre in the British history is such an important canonical movement. Similarly, here we have the street theatre. Now all of them are chiefly writing the plays that are associated with the ground level people, and they're associated with the current happenings that are going on. So his chiefly known plays like The Enemies, or you can say the Mote Ram Ka Satyagraha, deals with the ethical resistance and the authoritarianism that is going on at that point of time. So you should remember that it is Safdar who started the tradition of writing from the below level, from the grassroots level, and he is someone who started the tradition of the street theatre. Then the forte of Mohan Rakesh is the exploration of human emotions. Now, the independence has been achieved, but internally the man is someone who does not even know who he is. They are all writing about the web of emotions that we are trapped in, that we were trapped in. He explores the human emotions caught in the web of striking realities of the life. So Mohan Rakesh is very important. He is associated with the halfway house, Aadhe Adhure, that deals with the disintegration of a middle class family. Then His other works like the Adarsh Ka Ek Din that came out in 1958 is a lyrical play that is based on the life of Kalidasa. Mohan Rakesh deals with the crisis of a common man, the threat of human life, human relationships, drama, complex art forms, effect of the realities on the human, and how the different lights, actors, music and the stage directions are important. So they all are writing about the different art forms, complex emotions that we can show or portray in a dramatical performance. Then we have the theatre of roots. This again is very important in the evolution of drama. A movement is created in which an indigenous Indian theatre that is different from the westernized canonical theatre was seen. The Indian theatre practitioners after independence started the method and the process of returning to their own roots. That is why it is called as the theatre of roots. They are returning to their own origins and their efforts to Indianize our own theatre. Again and again, we were associated with the Ibsenian movement, with the absurd movement. We were influenced by the Western culture. So they took upon the responsibility to bring back their own roots. So this is called as the theatre of roots, and their efforts to Indianize the theatre was seen. They returned to the classical dance, the myths, the philosophies. They were writing about the religious ritual rites or the marital arts, the popular entertainment, the aesthetic theory. They came back and they Indianized the theatre again. So we have Panikkar, we have Habib Tanveer, we have Vijay Tendulkar and Girish Karnad, who were significant members. And all of them are very important from the examination point of view also. And you should know how the theatre evolved. They all took back the recourse to the traditional forms of Kathakali, about the different Natya Shastra traditions, etc. They stylized their writing in different manner so that we can go back to our own roots. They employ music, verbal chants, rhythm, different syllables so that we can hold on to our roots more stronger than before. So then we have the Indian People's Theatre Association, IPTA. Let's study more about IPTA. So an association of the leftist theatre artists under the left party was established to translate the aim of beginning the cultural awakening. So what was the role of IPTA? IPTA and the Theatre of Roots are somewhat the same. They're doing the same work. They are basically focusing on the cultural awakening and the consciousness among the Indian masses. The agenda was to abolish the religious bigotry and the social abuse, the political and the economic exploitation. It started as a low-key affiliation, but then again anti-fascist writers were there and this association then bloomed. So a lot of artists, singers and performers, all of them gradually came forward and IPTA became very important. Now let us study about Badal Sarkar a little bit, but it is important to know the different plays associated with Badal Sarkar also. So Badal Sarkar was one of the first practitioners of the street theatre, and he was someone who represents the theatrical movement in the modern Indian theatre. Sarkar has created people's theatre, very important, a theatre of propagated support that is created by people. Also asked in your NET exams. Then we have Mahesh Dhatani. Mahesh Dhatani creates transformative spaces. He has enhanced the stage theatre and the performance space. He is someone who writes about the political realities, about the themes that are associated with the Indian joint families, about the identity crisis, about individual, about gender, about sexuality, plight of women, homosexuality, and the taboo that is associated with it. So in greater detail, we will be studying about Badal Sarkar, Mahesh Dhatani, and your Habib Tanveer, and gradually, of course, we will study about Girish Karnad also. So these are few important writers, dramatists, whom we will be studying in the separate videos. So then we have Habib Tanveer. Habib Tanveer's Mitti Ki Gaadi is very famous. Also his Agra Bazaar are important dramas, important plays that he has written. He sees that there should be a synthesis between the folk tradition and the modern theatrical tradition. So he is writing on the grounds of bringing these two traditions together. He has written some other plays and he has said that it was only the peasant sources that are more important. He said, so the folk theatre techniques that one fell back upon are the most natural thing. So you write from the lower perspective and that's the true tradition. Then we have Ratan Thayam. He is someone who is also associated with Manipuri myths and legends and he is writing about the indigenous tradition. Then there are other writers associated with it. These are some important contemporary writers from which I assure you that Shashi Tharoor is very important and you should know the works of Shashi Tharoor. So 22 Months in the Life of a Dog, a farce in the 2 acts, is based on the emergency period that came out in 1975 and it's an important play. So these were these were the important dramatists and how the drama and the tradition of drama evolved. So we started with someone like, say, Tagore or someone like the Michael Madhusudan Dutt. So these are people who are writing before independence. Their themes are so different. So earlier they were writing about independence, about struggle, about the issues of women maybe, or about the mythical figures. Gradually social reform, social concerns were the themes about which they were writing. Then independence became the theme that was most important. After that we saw that the social concerns and of course the degradation of humanity was important. Gradually we realize that we are losing on our own themes. So it is important that the theatre of roots should be there. So IPTA was established, theatre of roots was seen and we were writing about our own tradition. Gradually, we saw that writers, important dramatists like Mahesh Dhatani, Girish Karnad, Badal Sarkar, these are the dramatists who are writing about the traditional writings also. So they are bringing back the traditional writings like Hey Vadna by Girish Karnad. So he is bringing back the old canonical text and writing it in the most modernized manner. So this is how they are again referring to the past, but their major focus is to stick on to our own roots and our own culture. They are Indianizing the drama that was once becoming too much modernized or influenced by the Western culture. And then comes the contemporary dramatists like Shashi Tharoor or you can say S. Vasuki. These are the important writers or the dramatists who are writing during the contemporary period. So you should know, because you know that in our paper anything can be asked. So in my classes we'll be studying in greater detail all of these writers. In other videos also we'll be touching upon some writers that are very important on YouTube also. But in the classroom platform we'll study each writer, each dramatist in greater detail. So I hope you liked the video. You understood how the tradition and evolution of the drama started. We started with the Sanskrit tradition, Roman influence was also there, then we saw the modernization and then we have the contemporary period. So I hope you liked the video. If you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment section. I'll surely reply to you. Thank you.